The South Florida sun, the glitz, the glamour of South Beach. Just another day in Miami? Not for the 49ers and Chiefs.
Well, you just want to win. It doesn't matter how you win, who gets the glory. Just go win and you'll remember it for the rest of your life.
There's a little bit of nerves whenever you're playing any game, but for me, I'm enjoying it. The best thing about this team is that we have fun, no matter what the stage is, no matter where we're playing.
This feels different. The biggest day of their professional lives.
It's a cool feeling, man. I'll save this jersey forever just because of how unique this situation is.
Legacies made, stars born, and later tonight, a world champion crowned. Right here in Miami.
This is Action Sports Jacks, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.
Welcome to Miami one more time on Super Bowl week. It is game day. Super Bowl 54 is here on Fox 30 later tonight. Took a month into the calendar year of 2020 to put a bow on the 2019 football season. Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Super Bowl number 11 for the city of Miami. 49ers and Chiefs kick off inside that stadium a little over 8 hours away. Good morning, everybody, and warm city Super Bowls. Everybody loves them. It's going to be a beautiful evening here for football tonight for the 49ers and Chiefs Super Bowl 54. It is a bit brisk this morning, but sunny skies. Should be a good day here in South Florida on this Sunday. Super Bowl 54 gets underway a little bit more than 8 hours. We have complete coverage, and we help lead off Fox's complete day coverage here on Fox 30. I'm Brent Martineau, but I'm not alone. The entire Action Sports Jacks team and others on the way over the next hour. Dan Hicken back in the studio. Action Sports Jacks, Stuart Weber here in Miami. Marcel Robinson, Austin Lane jumps in on the conversation. Mike Burrish has your forecast, and John Bachman and Tanika Hughes as well.
The Keys to the Game is sponsored by Listed.com.
The teams in this game were two of the best all year, and when you get here, that means you are peaking at the right time. Certainly the case for the Kansas City Chiefs. One Achilles heel this postseason, slow starts. A key today for the Chiefs, start fast and see if the 49ers can keep up. And while the Chiefs don't possess a dangerous defense, all it takes is one or two big plays in this game to change everything. Frank Clark, Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, dangerous players on defense for the Chiefs. As for the San Francisco 49ers, their number one goal, maintain Patrick Mahomes. Not sure how you do that, but that's San Francisco's job to figure out and then try to execute it. Play good defense and run the football. That's the MO of San Fran. The more they run the ball, the less Mahomes has the ball. And don't get in a shootout with Kansas City is usually good advice. If that happens, this game could come down to Jimmy Garoppolo making plays.
Yeah, I think the mobility will be something that I'll have to utilize. I mean, when you have a pass rush like this that can really get after the quarterback, not necessarily mobility running down the field, but mobility in the pocket, being able to move the pocket whenever I have to and get the ball out of my hands will be very important.
Practice has been great. It really has been. We've been over at Miami, the U, and they've been treating us great over there. I wouldn't say I've had a highlight so far. I think I'm sure having 2 weeks to go over the game plan and get locked in like that, it's helped these guys and all of us. But I think just we know what the moment is.
Could see either one of those guys winning the MVP tonight. Those are the QBs in this football game. What about the QB in Jacksonville? Gardner Minshew has been a big hit here in Miami this week. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine if someday Gardner Minshew leads the Jaguars to the Super Bowl. Action Sports Jacks note to self right here. One reporter on Minshew only the entire week. I think we'll need that. Of course, we really don't even know if Minshew will be the starting quarterback in the fall for the 2020 edition of the Jacksonville Jaguars. But we know he dreams big. Coming from Brandon, Mississippi, he's proven doubters wrong his entire football career. We caught up with Minshew here in Miami, and there is some change going into 2020. And it starts with his offensive coordinator, Jay Gruden. What do you think about Jay Gruden? I know you haven't really had a chance to do much with it, but just the acquisition of Jay Gruden.
Yeah, no, very excited. Obviously, you see what he did with the young Andy Dalton. Was very successful, 3 straight playoff trips in Cincinnati his last time as a coordinator. And then they've had years in Washington as well where they've been very good, very efficient offensively. And I think he's going to be a good fit for what we have.
What's the challenge of that for you, but also the entire offense, a new offense?
Yeah, it's a new offense. It's West Coast, so I know a lot of the guys have familiarity with that system. and we did some West Coast stuff this past year. So it'll be good. It'll be a transition, but I know guys are excited for that challenge.
Year two, the rest of the continuity good, keeping Doug and a lot of that staff?
Oh, absolutely. You know, we have a lot of guys that believe in, you know, our coaches, and they believe in us. And, you know, I think it's big to, you know, build and have that continuity.
I saw you said yesterday, you almost apologized for saying at the end of the year that you had as good, if not a better than some of the rookies. So why did you think you needed to do that? I mean, it was kind of reality, wasn't it?
No, I mean, I just take a step back and, you know, I don't, you know, want to be an ego guy. It's not a me guy. It's not about anything I'm doing. You know, I'm trying to be the best guy I can be for our team, and that's irrelevant to anything that anybody's doing outside. You know, when it comes time to make that call, it's not my call. As you know, it's somebody else's call as to who's the best, who's worth whatever, but it's not mine.
Why is Jacksonville such a good fit? You mentioned it. They're your people. You found your people. Why?
Yeah, no, I think it's just a bunch of blue-collar, like hard-working people, and they've kind of identified the same traits in me, and I really think it's you know, where I was supposed to be for this part of my career.
Do you have an idea of one fix that you'd love to make a big leap at?
I mean, I was doing specifically when I'm moving to my right, you know, after my first couple steps been throwing, I was a little inaccurate there. You know, it's just from some of the initial film work. And then there's obviously always things, you're always working strength, speed, you know, always trying to make your arm stronger, and more accurate. But, you know, specific technique things will be found through film study.
Last one, you big football fan. You got to watch this game. Who do you like? Do you have an opinion on it?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a great game. We got to play the Chiefs earlier in the year when we saw firsthand how explosive they can be. The 49ers, incredible defense, very consistent on offense. But, man, the Chiefs, they can be down for 3 quarters, you know, not look good, but then they just turn it on, and they can be really dangerous. So it's going to be a good game.
Well, let's hope it's a good game. If Gardner Minshew says so, we believe him. Hey, we're talking a little bit of Jags, talking Super Bowl 54, and we're talking about awards from the week here at Super Bowl week in Miami, including the Hall of Fame class of 2020, Edgerrin James, Isaac Bruce, Troy Polamalu, Steve Hutchinson, and Steve Atwater, to go along with members of the class that were announced a couple of weeks ago, including Jacksonville's Harold Carmichael, and, of course, that stings a little bit for everybody in Jacksonville, that class, not the Harold Carmichael part, but the other 5 that were announced on Saturday. There's a reporter next to me from Minnesota, very nice lady, and they are celebrating Steve Hutchinson going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Meanwhile, we're a bit angry that Tony Baselli did not get in once again. Let's throw it back to Jacksonville Action Sports Jack's Dan Hicken. You feel any better on Sunday morning about this, Dan?
Not really, Brent. I mean, I'm not as angry, I think. And you settle down and you try to figure out why. Why is Tony Baselli getting snubbed year after year after year? And I did some research. And listen, again, guys are not voting for him because of the longevity, but that's not fair because others have made it with less games started. I chronicled 10 different guys just looking them up, including Gale Sayers, Ernie Nevers, Cliff Battles. I could go down the list. There's a lot of guys. Terrell Davis. Kenny Easley went in last year, started less games than Tony Baselli. So I don't think longevity should be an issue because the criteria has made it not an issue. What I want to know is, are those out there who consider Baselli not a Hall of Fame player? Because it seems everyone we talk to thinks that Tony's performance on the football field for those 5 years is good as not just any tackle in the 90s, but some would say, some of his peers would say, any tackle in the history of the game. Here's what Tony had to say yesterday after not getting picked.
It's one of those things, and we are hoping for the knock. But, you know, you guys were in there with me. I mean, I got great friends. I got a great family and great part of a great organization. And obviously you want the knock. Is it disappointing? Sure. But there's 5 guys who got the knock. Happy for them. You know, I guess we're going to be doing this in Tampa hopefully next year again. So we'll be all together. And we'll go from there. The last couple of years, I've been sitting there, and everyone's quiet, and you're stressed out about it. And I realized this year at some point, as I was sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? I got a great family. And obviously, I want to be in the Hall of Fame. It would be a huge honor. But at the same time, I'm going to enjoy the process. I'm going to enjoy my family. I'm going to enjoy my friends. And it's going to be a celebration together. Me getting the Hall of Fame, obviously, is an individual award. At the end of the day, it's about my teammates, the guys I played with, the organization, my family, my kids, my wife. Hopefully I'm a finalist next year. There's no guarantees that you'll be a finalist. Hopefully it's a knock this time.
Well, next year is going to be tough for Tony because of some of the names that are going in, including Peyton Manning and Charles Woodson. Also remember, though, it is a process. There are a lot of guys who've gone into the Hall of Fame after years of being finalists. Lynn Swann was a 14-year finalist. Andre Reed, 8 years. John Lynch still waiting after 7 tries. So it takes time to finally break through. If he consistently remains a finalist, I think eventually he will get in. Thank you to the folks from Jaguars.com for that interview with Tony Baselli. Now, Leroy Butler of Jacksonville was a first-time finalist. I really don't know why he didn't get in either, but again, at least he's just up for the first time to make the finals. This guy should have been a finalist already. He was the all-decade safety of the 1990s. He's got the fame part down. He invented the Lambeau Leap. He won when he was in Green Bay. They won a Super Bowl. So ultimately, I think Leroy Butler gets in. But yesterday, 2 safeties, Troy Polamalu and Steve Atwater. Atwater, another longtime finalist, finally pushed through. But there was some good news for Jacksonville, okay? Let's hear it for our guy, Jaguars defensive tackle, and the mayor of Saxonville, honored with one of the most prestigious NFL awards last night. That would be Calais Campbell, who was named the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award for what he does off the field. Calais Campbell, you can't say enough good things about this guy and the impact that he's made, not just with the Jaguars on the field, but with our city off the field. Congratulations to Calais. Well, it's finally a game day, and it's our game's biggest spectacle, Super Bowl 54. It's down in Miami for the 11th time, more than any other city, by the way. It's said that we get better with age, right? Well, maybe not all of us, but it's definitely true when it comes to the Super Bowl. Let's bring in Action News Jax anchor John Bachman, who walks us through the evolution of the big game.
On January 15th, 1967, the Green Bay Packers and Kansas City Chiefs squared off inside the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in what was officially the AFL-NFL World Championship game. Unofficially, it was dubbed the Super Bowl. 53 years later, the game has turned into America's premier sporting event, and the evolution has touched every piece of the game. To start, tickets for Super Bowl I cost $6 to $12, and nowadays fans coughing up more than $4,700 for nosebleed seats. If you want to sit in a club level, you may have to sell your car. Those tickets come with a $31,000 price tag. As for the stars of the show, well, players back at Super Bowl I didn't even match up to today's college stars. Right tackle Forrest Gregg was one of 2 Hall of Famers on the Packers offensive line in 1966. He weighed 249 pounds. Compare that to some of today's top college offensive linemen. Broderick Jones from Georgia, 298 pounds. Isaiah Walker, a junior from Florida, 309 pounds. Now, once the Super Bowl is over, the winners announced, players get fitted for their championship rings. The very first Super Bowl ring was a 14-karat yellow gold with one 100-point diamond in the middle with the words World Champions inscribed. Well, last year, the Patriots got personalized rings with an average of 416 diamonds on a 10-karat white gold ring. The rings are bigger, the players are bigger, the price tag is bigger. Guys, back to you.
Look at the weather down in Miami. It is a beautiful day down there, and hopefully it'll stay that way throughout the evening. To find out, let's bring in Action News Jack's first alert chief meteorologist, Mike Burrish. He has your game day forecast.
Hello, let's take a look at the weather for the Super Bowl cities today. It's really pretty interesting. San Francisco, quite chilly, mostly cloudy, windy, temperatures only around 50. There's a storm system moving in there that'll bring some rain tonight into tomorrow. On the other hand, Kansas City, where you'd expect it to be cold, of course, it's the middle of winter, not so much. In fact, close to Jacksonville's high temperature today in the mid-60s, a lot of sun. Now, Kansas City will get in on some snow in a couple of days, but for right now, it's a very mild day in Kansas City and awfully nice in Miami too, with a sky that'll be mostly clear. 4 p.m. temperatures will be around 70 for tailgaters. Kickoff at 6:30. Sunset will be about 6:05. You're looking at temperatures dropping through the 60s in the game. A clear sky, light winds. It's a great night for football and a great night for the Super Bowl in Miami.
Next on our Action Sports Jack's Making of a Champion, 2 head coaches with one Jacksonville thing in common. We'll tell you what that is when we return.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.
Jerry's World on water. The Dallas Cowboys owner with his yacht down here in South Florida. By the way, Jaguars owner Shad Khan's Kismet is also down here. The owners host parties during Super Bowl week. One of the reasons they like Miami as a Super Bowl city. Welcome back, everybody. Just outside Hard Rock Stadium, Super Bowl 54. It is game day. You can watch the game tonight on Fox 30 and coverage all day long on Fox 30, including post-game reaction. We'll have that for you later tonight on Action Sports Jax Prime Time. You always think when you come to these games, what could have been? How did the Jaguars get here? Well, all you have to do is look at these two coaches. The Jaguars had an opportunity to get both of these coaches. Go back to 2013, and Andy Reid was available, fired by the Eagles, hired by the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs acted fast. Less than 24 hours it took to get him to Kansas City. The Jags hired Gus Bradley that year. And then in 2017, Kyle Shanahan was a hot name in the coaching circles. The Jags hired Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone that year. You never know how it's going to work out, but it certainly has worked out well for Reid and Shanahan.
No, I don't consider myself an offensive guru. I consider myself a coach who tries as hard as he can, and everyone asks about like what I learned from that Super Bowl and everything, and you realize how when you're playing against good teams, good quarterbacks, that you can never relax.
We really haven't scored quickly, like you're saying here, the last couple games. So we would like to do better in that area. If it doesn't, this team's not going to panic. We're going to do what we have to do to win the game from whatever situation we're in, whether we're ahead or behind.
Reid is the sentimental favorite around the NFL to get his first Super Bowl ring and Lombardi Trophy. He lost the game in Jacksonville to the New England Patriots when he was coaching with the Philadelphia Eagles, as you look at Hard Rock Stadium from high above. Now listen, it's not easy to win in the NFL. It's one of the hardest things to do, and the Jacksonville Jaguars have proved that point for sure over the years. But sometimes you have to take risks. Look at these two teams. The 49ers gambled on Jimmy Garoppolo, paid him big money. It's now worked out. The Chiefs had Alex Smith, a very good quarterback. They traded up to get Patrick Mahomes. Let's welcome in Action Sports Jax Stuart Weber right now at Super Bowl 54 here in Miami, and he has more on taking risks and sometimes it paying off big time for teams.
It wasn't that long ago that the San Francisco 49ers and Kansas City Chiefs felt a long way from playing for the Lombardi Trophy here in Miami this weekend. Kind of like the Jacksonville Jaguars feel right about now. Well, these two franchises made some big moves and maybe took some risks on the way to playing for the Lombardi Trophy.
The Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes.
No surprise, those moves come at the QB position. For the Chiefs, it's drafting Patrick Mahomes.
I think I ended up in the perfect place. To have Coach Reid and these coaches around me, when I came in, was able to just be who I am, being able to win a lot of football games early in my career.
For the 49ers, a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. And after a lost year due to injury, he helped lead the team from the Senior Bowl to the Super Bowl.
They see your work ethic and the things you put in. Just, I think that's the trickle-down effect with the team. You know, if they see the captains and you know that group of guys doing more and staying in later and things like that, I think it just trickles down to the rest of the team and you get good results out of it.
As for the Jaguars,
this could be a quick flip. I think if we make wise choices in free agency, and it might not be market setters, but wise choices, and then we follow that up with a good draft.
A big part of the equation, obviously that quarterback position. Mahomes, Garoppolo, both stars in the league already. The hope for the Jaguars, maybe Gardner Minshew or Nick Foles could still be that guy moving forward. At the Super Bowl in Miami, Stuart Weber, Action Sports Jax.
More Jags connections in this game, including the man that might have the hardest job tonight in Super Bowl 54. His story on getting to the Super Bowl is a unique one.
You're watching Action Sports Jax, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.
Hello, Miami. Game day in South Florida. Chiefs and Niners coverage all day right here on Fox 30. Welcome back. Normally, the two teams that make the final game of the season are supremely talented, but also supremely healthy, and that seems to be the case again this season. Let's check out our injury report.
This injury report is sponsored by Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute.
Travis Kelce might be the most important player in this game. The star tight end been nursing a bit of a knee injury. Nothing that should limit him today. Kelce brilliant down the stretch for the Chiefs. Fantastic tight end matchups with Kelce and George Kittle from San Francisco. Telvin Coleman, remember this? He had to be carted off the field in that NFC Championship game. Man, he looked in pain. That had that shoulder injury. Turns out he's going to be okay. Did practice some last week. Coleman hasn't been the main threat in the backfield for San Francisco. That's been Raheem Mostert, but carrying the load. He's from New Smyrna Beach. Mostert is, and had more than 200 yards rushing in the NFC Championship game, but Coleman good to go. One of the big acquisitions for the Niners this season, Quan Alexander. The linebacker, A-OK, tore his pec earlier in the season, has returned to play in the postseason. J.J. Watt got a lot of attention for doing the same thing. Alexander didn't get nearly as much, part of a healthy and really good 49ers defense. One reason why the San Francisco 49ers were able to make the cross-country trip this week, their outstanding defense that happens to be coordinated by a former Jaguars assistant. That coordinator is Robert Saleh, now the defensive coordinator of the NFC champion Niners. 19 years ago, Saleh was in Detroit, Michigan, watching the tragedy of 9/11 on television. What happened next? The worst 6 hours of his life. You see, his brother David was in the second tower. His first job was as an aide for Michigan State for $5 an hour. 13 years after that, he hopes to become a Super Bowl champ coaching in the NFL.
Always appreciate the journey. Win, lose, draw, it doesn't matter. Time in Jacksonville was unbelievable. The city's unbelievable. The ownership was unbelievable. So, and the people I worked with were unbelievable. So, really appreciate my time out there, and it's all part of a journey. I always mention that it's one thing to have experience. It's another thing to have 1 year of experience that you've repeated 15 times. And it's our job as not only players but as coaches and individuals to try to evolve with every passing year.
One guy who is really appreciative of his role. By the way, his brother David did make it out of the Twin Towers. Saleh had a top 10 defense this year. All right, next up on our Making of a Champion, we revisit with our champion, Calais Campbell, and hear the wonderful story of a relationship with a Jacksonville family. That's coming up.
Watching Action Sports Jacks, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.
Those 9 grandkids are awesome. So they keep you young and at the same time make you feel old. It's kind of like sweet and sour pork.
Andy Reid, he's a cool guy in his own little way, very subtle. And again, I'll mention it, the NFL really rooting for Andy Reid to get a Lombardi trophy. Welcome back, everybody, outside Hard Rock Stadium, Super Bowl 54 tonight, Chiefs and 49ers. And a lot of our coverage this week has been on Jags-related players or stories, and that includes the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award winner for 2019. Happened last night, Calais Campbell, well earned by the big fella, the mayor of Saxonville. And everybody in Jacksonville is so proud of Calais Campbell. There's one family in particular that was celebrating last night and into today, and probably did so with their own home run swing.
We are just in a canoe right now getting a tour of the neighborhood.
In 2017, Hurricane Irma damaged many areas in Northeast Florida.
It looked like Baghdad the day after. It was so sad to see everybody's personal belongings just dumped out on the road, and the neighborhood, to some degree, is still recovering.
The flooding in Ortega was devastating. The Jimerson family was forced to vacate their home.
We had to bulldoze our old house, so the whole house was structurally compromised.
The destruction of their home and then the rebuild of their new home took more than 2 years. So they lived in an apartment building downtown.
You know, life's what you make of it, right? You know, you make a lot of choices, and it was certainly less than ideal for us, but we decided to live a cosmopolitan existence we wouldn't have otherwise lived, and we had fun.
When you move, you meet new people. The Jimersons had a neighbor that was unmistakable. 6'8", 300-pound Jaguars All-Pro, Calais Campbell.
My son's a real avid sports fan. He was only 5 or 6, and he recognized Calais because he's Calais, and he's very recognizable.
I told my friend and my teacher I met Calais Campbell, And then they were asking, like, who's Calais Campbell? And I was like, he's on the Jaguars.
I know, like, when you play football, you have a little bit of celebrity. You know, to me, I'm just a regular guy with a cool job. But, you know, I get that, you know, like, there's a coolness to my job, you know, and especially with kids, you know. I mean, to be able to know somebody they see on TV, you know, is super cool, you know, and they have, you know, big personalities, and, like, you know, we park next to each other, so I see them sometimes in passing, and they always give me big hugs, and, you know, I mean, they make me feel like a superhero, you know, they make me feel like I'm way cooler than I really am.
The friendship grew stronger. And as you might imagine, 9-year-old Lila and 7-year-old Ford loved it. They would make signs and put them on Calais' car before every game.
We did that all the time. Mostly I would draw the symbol of who they were playing, and then I would do a big red circle and then put a line through it.
What do you do when you're watching a game on a Sunday?
Like, well, I'm in my underwears. And then every time Calais gets a sack, I just run around and, like, scream.
And you got to do one more thing, right?
Yeah.
What do you do?
Do a sack dance.
Which is what? Hey, you guys should play baseball. You guys have pretty good swings.
Thank you.
In December, the Jimersons stopped by our weekly TV show with Calais, Jaguars All Access. They were saying goodbye because they were moving out and their new home was ready. So are you going to miss them?
Yeah, we're going to miss him, but we're going to invite him over for dinner. It was really fun to, like, hang out with him, and he was really nice, and I miss seeing him on the elevator.
When Hurricane Irma swept through Jacksonville, the Jimersons lost a lot, and they gained a lot more. Maybe you never would have met number 93, at least the way you know him.
Yeah, I don't know that I would have, but we're certainly better for it.
I remember when I was a kid and I got to meet Terrell Davis. You know, I'm 8 years old. I met Terrell Davis. It's like, you know, I told everybody who will listen that I met Terrell Davis, and he was so cool, you know. And so for me, you know, like, anytime I can, you know, just, you know, give a kid, like, develop a bond with a kid, and you know, and just develop a relationship, I'm always eager to, because, you know, I mean, I just know how big of a deal it was for me when I was a kid. You know, even, I mean, I met Peyton Manning and Marshall Faulk when I was 13. I still remember like it was yesterday.
If you had to tell the Jags to say, hey, we need Calais for another year, I mean, what would you say to them?
I'll be on my knees and beg them for Calais another year.
The good news is Calais Campbell is under contract for another year, but the Jaguars do have some tough decisions to make. We'll see where that goes this offseason. And that is the Jimerson story. So many stories like that around Jacksonville. Amazing in 3 years how much Calais Campbell has impacted the community and the city of Jacksonville. So much more to come from here in Miami. Super Bowl 54. We do a little this or that. Who would you rather have, from coaches to quarterbacks to tight ends? We've got a big game and a big matchup. We talk all about it. Coming up next, Make of a Champion, live from South Florida on Fox 30.
"32 teams started the season with the same goal, Super Bowl Sunday. In the end, it's San Francisco and Kansas City. The Jaguars gambled on a Super Bowl MVP, but it was hardly a lucky 7 for the teal and black. Next stop, Vegas, where they'll be on the lookout for some impact players.
I can still help in a lot of different ways. Yeah. I don't know what that's going to be. Who knows what the future will hold? How can a young guy like me be done at this age?
The Jaguars chose to 86 their pit box. Don't bet against TC resurfacing. The wise guys are out in full force in South Florida. It's time to double down and celebrate football's biggest game.
This is Action Sports Jacks, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.
It's a long couple of weeks coming off the championship games, getting ready for Super Bowl 54 here in South Florida, but we have arrived at the day, Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl 54 on Fox 30 later tonight, kickoff at 6:30. Hey everybody, welcome back to Miami. Brent Martineau just outside Hard Rock Stadium. All right, let's break down this game a little bit. We welcome in Action Sports Jacks, Dan Hicken back in Jacksonville. We're going to do a little this or that, and we begin, Dan, with the quarterbacks, the most important position. Who would you rather have, the Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes, the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, coming down the stretch late in this one?
Well, that's easy for me. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. I think most of the people would agree with me. And think about it this way, too. Patrick Mahomes is still on his rookie contract, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the face of the NFL. If Patrick Mahomes wins today, he'll be the youngest quarterback, I think, in NFL history to have a Super Bowl and an NFL MVP already on his resume. So I'm going to ride with Patrick Mahomes in this one. And Jimmy Garoppolo is not near as bad, though, Brent, as people make him out to be. He threw for 285 yards a game this season. Patrick Mahomes is only about 300, so not as big a disparity as some people think. We're just remembering all these playoff games where the Niners ran. But I'm going to ask you, who do you want? Brent Martineau, do you want Andy Reid or do you want that young offensive guru, Kyle Shanahan?
That's a fantastic question, too, because I think both in the big games have question marks. Shanahan blew that lead as the offensive coordinator for Atlanta 28-3 against the New England Patriots a few years back when he was with Atlanta. And obviously, Andy Reid has had trouble getting this far. He's had a brilliant career, and this could really cap it off and make it a Hall of Fame career. I think I'm going Andy Reid, though. Both are fantastic schematically. I'm going to give the edge to the experience. He's been in this game before as the head coach. I like Andy Reid in this one. All right, back to you, Dan. This is a fantastic question, and not as easy as some people think. The Chiefs offense or the San Francisco defense? Who are you taking?
We're always enamored with the offenses, right, Brent? We always love those offenses. And I learned my lesson a few years ago when that high-powered Denver Broncos offense made it to the Super Bowl and Seattle slapped them all over the field. So, surprisingly, I'm leaning towards the 49ers defense. I'm not sure they're great, but they can certainly make themselves great if they slow down Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. That's going to be a fun one. There's one more good one. It's the two best tight ends. And here in Jacksonville, do we have tight end envy or what? But who you got? George Kittle or Travis Kelce? Two, arguably, of the two very best tight ends in the game.
Not only that, Dan, but think about it. They're the personalities of their team at the tight end position. And if you go back to the Patriots, Rob Gronkowski was that way, too. I really like George Kittle, but I think Travis Kelce in this football game, above everybody else, is the X factor. I think he's the most important player in this game tonight. Yeah, more than Mahomes, more than Tyreek Hill, more than anybody else. So I'm going to take Travis Kelce. He's had a huge postseason. He'll need a big game tonight in Super Bowl 54. We'll send it back to you.
All right, good stuff. A little this or that as we get ready for the game. Tom Coughlin knows what it takes to win a Super Bowl. He has 3 rings, 2 as a head coach with the Giants, and, of course, was part of 3 AFC championship games with the Jaguars, 2 as a coach, 1 as the executive vice president of football operations. We talked with TC about the matchup earlier this week.
Balance can be achieved in a lot of different ways, and what's happened today with being, spread out is some of the things that you can do with 6 in the box, supersede 8 against 11. But that's what's so impressive about the 49ers and what they've done. The great lesson for me about looking at San Francisco is the personnel. Their personnel with regular people, the fullback and the tight end, are better than what they would be doing if they were in another form of personnel. And they've made that work very well.
And then you have Kansas City, and I'm just curious about, Andy, your old foe. What do you think of him getting there? And obviously they do it a different way, but they do it with maybe the most talented quarterback in the NFL right now.
It's scary, to watch him in positions that he's in.
Right.
What I've always thought about, the quarterback is a guy who doesn't necessarily lead by what he says, it's what he does. But this guy, from the time he just started, Mahomes, he had that look in his eye about being able to control everybody, and if he didn't like what you did, he sent you that message. As a young one, in the playoff game, when he started scrambling one time, he wanted Hill to break deep. Hill didn't break deep. And he said, what are you doing? Break. I'll throw it to you,
You spent some time with John Madden when you went out to the West Coast. I was just curious, what was that like?
I'll tell you a story. So I get on I've been on John's committee, the coaches committee, for a long time. Okay. I want to keep the coaches on the sideline. We got coaches running out on the field too far. We got special team guys that think they can go out to, what can we do about this? We got to get them back. And I said, John, by the way, while we're discussing this, I remember when you were coaching, you were at the hash marks, John. But he's a great great guy. I love the guy. He is so all football, and he has a passion for the game itself.
Of course, Tom will remain active in his J Fund, but also be interesting to see what's next for the 73-year-old former coach. A live look in Miami, Florida, one of the great entertainment centers in our country, the home of some tremendous musical artists. We bring in Tanika Hughes now for a look at what shapes up to be a historical halftime at Hard Rock Stadium.
You may mistake the Magic City for the Music City during the Super Bowl 2020. Over the past week, celebrities like Lady Gaga, Maroon 5, and Cardi B have been turning up the heat in Miami. And as we count down to the biggest game of the football season, a lot of people are excited. Of course, the headliner at halftime, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, are going to take center stage at the Hard Rock Stadium. The duo will be making Super Bowl history during their 12-minute extravaganza. It's the first time two Latinas star on that stage and the first time the two global superstars perform together. Before them, Gloria Estefan has been the only Latina to headline the famous halftime show, and it was in Miami. Earlier this week, Shakira and Jennifer Lopez spoke to a crowd of fans about why their upcoming performance was a very important moment for U.S. Latinos.
When I think of my daughter, when I think of all the little girls of the world, to be able to have that, to see that, two Latinas doing this at this time in this country at this time, it's just very empowering for us.
I feel truly honored to be representing so many people out there, women, Latinas, and people of any ages. I think that J-Lo and I are here redefining paradigms about age, about race, about background.
The two stars admitted they never imagined when they were young girls they would one day perform at the Super Bowl. The women, they also promised a heartfelt moment to pay tribute to NBA star Kobe Bryant. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you. X's and O's from A&M. That's coming up. Austin and Marcel are breaking down what makes the Niners defense so good and wonder out loud if it will be so good enough to slow down Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. That's next.
You're watching Action Sports Jacks, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.
A look at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, which is a little bit a ways away from all the action this week at Super Bowl 54, about a half hour from South Beach and the convention center where Radio Row and a lot of the stars were most of the week here in Miami. Welcome back, everybody. Super Bowl 54 tonight. 49ers and Chiefs on Fox 30. Just hours away now. And we really haven't X's and O's this game that much because, well, they're the 49ers and the Chiefs. But it's time to do it right now at the wall that says it all and bring in Action Sports Jack's Marcel Robinson and ESPN 690 co-host Austin Lane, who once played for the Chiefs.
Now, most of the talk this Super Bowl is going to be on the offensive playmakers, the Patrick Mahomes, the Jimmy Garoppolo's. But let's not forget that both of these teams have great defenses. This one in particular, San Francisco 49ers, led by someone we know very well, former Jaguars linebacker coach Robert Saleh, now defensive coordinator out in San Francisco. One of the more highly sought after guys. Austin, this team was not necessarily doing well last season. Everyone wanted Robert Saleh out. Yeah. This year, totally different story. Tell us why.
So, I mean, there's a few reasons why, but a big reason is that he saw what he had on defense. They bring in Bosa. They bring in a guy by the name of D Ford, two bookend defensive ends. And when you do that, you have to cater to those needs, right? And when you cater to those needs, you cater to the speed. So he goes after defensive line coach from the Lions, Chris Kasarik. Now, Chris Kasarik is a guy that I'm used to playing for. Spent some time at the Senior Bowl with him. He was my defensive line coach. And then I spent 5 weeks in Detroit playing for him as well. And the thing that Chris Kasarik brought to San Francisco is a thing I like to call the wide nine. And basically what that means is it lets the defensive ends pin their ears back and play football.
Well, since we know that football is in terms of what you do on the field, not what you see in the classroom, why don't you give us a look over here and show us exactly what we're talking about?
Let's check it out. And speaking of looks, man, you're looking very good, by the way. This is like a before and after of like the fashion police right now. I'm the before, you're the after. You look fantastic right now. But anyways, getting back to football talk here. So as we see, it's called the wide nine for a reason, because both your defensive ends right here and right here they're in wide nines. Now, if you notice their stance right here, Marcel, you looked on the 40-yard dash, right? We might have a little competition coming up here in a few months. Well, if you see their stance right now, they're almost in that 40-yard dash stance, right? And here's the reason. They're playing pass all the way. Coach Kasarik has a thing that he loves to say where you stop the run on the way to the quarterback. What that means basically is that these guys are playing the pass on every single play. Doesn't matter if it's first down, second down, or third down. They're always going to play the pass, and their steps will always dictate the pass. Now, in playing the pass, because it's so key with their get off, when they get off the line, say a tackle comes out to them, well, they're exploding out, and you stop the run on the way to the pass.
Now, let me ask you a question about this, because we know obviously much of this defense is dictated on the defensive ends.
Exactly.
So with them playing more widened out, obviously you have your offensive guards and tackles have a little bit more of a tougher responsibility, but this opens it up for the inside linebackers and defensive tackles, right?
What it means basically is the fact that your linebackers, they have to be fast and they have to be knowledgeable, because out of this defense, there's going to be some holes. And it's funny because a lot of people want to say, well, the 49ers, they're just running the Jaguars defense. Why can't the Jaguars do this? This is the big difference right here. So if you see right here, there's not a tight end on the line, okay? It's 5 offensive linemen and the running back. So we just call that 1 personnel. If there was a tight end on the line, we'd call it 11 personnel. 1 tight end, 1 running back. Here's the beauty about this wide 9 defense. If a tight end motioned in right now, you'd play the exact same thing. Even if it's a run formation, these guys are going to be lined up wide, and that allows them to play football, as opposed to the Jaguars, who use that big defensive end, right? The Calais Campbells. Josh Allen played some big defensive end this year. So the difference between that and the Jaguars is the fact that either you're playing a wide 9, or if you're the Jaguars on base formations, you're coming down playing that head up on the tight end.
We'll take a moment now to hear from the mastermind behind this particular defensive line formation, Chris Kasarik, defensive line coach for the 49ers.
It's just a defense that I believe in. It's a man's game up front, and it's a man's front. When you play the wide 9, it's a contact front. We're coming after you. They're going to have to come after us, and it's mano a mano, and it's just something I believe in. Setting strong edges in the run game, trying to win initial contact, trying to come out of our cleats and with technique and win inside hand placement and win the line of scrimmage, and this type of front that can do that.
Well, now that we've heard from the mastermind, there's really only one thing to do here is to play football. And obviously we know, like we talked about, with them rushing forward, this opens up the back end, your linebacker and your defensive back room, because they're going to need it to go up against Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City Chiefs offense. Let's toss it back to you.
Interesting fashion arrangement for Marcel and Austin. You get that as a radio guy. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Join Austin, myself, the entire Action Sports Jacks team, 3 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. We've had coverage all week at the Super Bowl. You can always check out the podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. All right, here it is. Who wins tonight? We discuss the big game, our picks, when we come back. 49ers or Chiefs on Fox 30. It's coming up in a few hours.
You're watching Action Sports Jacks, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.
All right, we've done almost everything we can do here at Super Bowl 54 week in South Florida. We've talked a lot of Jags. We've complained about Tony Baselli not getting in the Hall of Fame. We've praised Calais Campbell. We've talked the 49ers and the Chiefs. Now it's time to tell you who's going to win the game. Welcome back, everybody, to Miami, Super Bowl 54, tonight, 6:30 on Fox 30. And let's welcome back in Action Sports Jacks, Dan Hicken in Jacksonville. All right, Dan, this is what everybody waits for, us to determine a winner. What do you think?
Well, listen, I'm picking Kansas City, but I'm not encouraging you, if you're a gambler, to go with that. I'm picking Kansas City because I want Kansas City to win. So I want Andy Reid to get his Lombardi trophy. So I'm picking Kansas City. If you want to make some money, take the over on the national anthem with Demi Lovato, Brent. I think she's a slow singer, and I think you can get it at 159. Take the over. I also like Patrick Mahomes going over 30.5 yards rushing. Those are the two to make money on. But I want the Chiefs to win, Brent. How about you?
Nice job. I like the prop bets in there. Heads or tails, Dan, on the coin toss. Simple as that. Listen, as we show everybody our picks from the Action Sports Jacks team, we all like the Chiefs in this game. Dan, I love the Chiefs in this game. I can't believe it's only a pick-em game around 2 points, and that's it. I think the Chiefs are going to win, and I've got 38-30 just to make it look good, but I think it might even be a runaway game, at least from the feel of it, by the fourth quarter. San Francisco's going to have a hard time keeping up with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're destined to win this game. Patrick Mahomes is the star of the NFL now. He's the next great thing in the NFL, and this will be one of the key moments to propel him to that next stage as he raises the Lombardi Trophy and probably wins the MVP award at Super Bowl 54 as well. Okay, coverage all day long here on Fox 30 because Fox will now take over their Super Bowl coverage. And then later tonight, Action Sports Jax prime time. Following the game, we'll be on the field, post-game reaction. We'll try to catch up with our Jags connections in this game, win or lose, and see how they are responding to what went down in Super Bowl 54. Thanks for hanging out with us all week long on our Super Bowl 54 coverage down here in South Florida. More to come later tonight. Enjoy the party. Enjoy the game. And I hope you win those Super Bowl squares as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks for watching Action Sports Jax, Making of a Champion, powered by FPL.